Yes, I. Blessed love and greetings in the name of the Most High. Jah, Rastafari. Is I please Jah and I honor to welcome, I would say, one of the most powerful lyricists making music out there today. So Jah9, welcome to the show. So my first question today, we're here right now in the middle of the forest of all places, here for the Yoga on Dub France 2nd edition. So tell us a little bit about the idea behind Yoga on Dub for people that maybe missed the festival this year. If they want to trod next year, what can they expect? And tell us a bit about how the ISL first got into yoga, in particular why Kemetic Yoga.
Okay, so yoga is important because it is how one connects breath and movement to find stillness. This is why I was drawn to it, and this is why I've learned the different styles. And in learning different styles of yoga, including African-based yoga, it has helped me to see that it's not so much about styles, it's about the purpose, you know. And for a lot of people, they are not aware of the powerful healing tools that is yoga. And so yoga on dub for me is a way to use music, which people are always more open to, and which has a way of opening people, you know, infusing that now with the yoga and presenting it to people in a way that is easy for them to, you know, absorb, and to help them to get into their bodies and really allow the work of yoga to happen.
About the festival itself, quickly, for people that are maybe hearing about it now for the first time, obviously we've had enough activities this week, so tell us a little bit about what people can expect from Yoga on Dub.
Well, Yoga on Dub happens differently depending on where it is. We're here at La Clairiere, 2nd year in a row that we've done it here, and when it happens here, it is a retreat as opposed to a one-day event. So this is the only place that I do it so far as a retreat. You know, the intention is to do some retreats in Jamaica and bring people, you know, back to where the culture started and kind of give them an experience that is not just based in one space. But when it's here, we try to give them a little bit of cultural experience, a little bit of reasoning. I mean, a mellow vibe, so it's not all serious and stressful. It's an opportunity to share with I on a human level. And it's an opportunity to learn about drumming, about Ital food, about His Imperial Majesty in a more relaxed setting, and to ask questions and to, you know, feel more comfortable to relate. And of course, it is an opportunity for my band to be a part of the process, of the teaching process as well. So it's really just an opportunity to share. And as a teacher, I like the opportunity to observe the bodies of my students over time. And so I've had the opportunity to watch people, even in just 3 days, you know, 2 sessions a day, to see bodies open and to see the breath change and to see people begin to cultivate stillness and begin to understand it, not just in their brains, but in their bodies. So this is why it is important to do these extended type of approaches to sharing the yoga.
Tell us a little bit about the dub treatment.
Dub treatment is a idea. It is taking the music that you hear recorded and making it organic, using the elements of dub. And dub is kind of post-production. So dub means that my engineer is like an additional member of the band, you know, being very sensitive to the words and how to accentuate certain elements as well. And the musicians have changed over the years. This current dispensation of the dub treatment is really one of my favorite. Everyone, we are a family, you know, we are brothers and sisters. And it's really a joy to get to experience them, because this particular band allows you to really have an organic experience of expressing. So yes, you know how the song go, but you always get an opportunity. It's like you play the song differently every night, you know? And you really are fed by the energies of the audience or the space that you're in. So dub is a free form expression, and we integrate that as much as possible into the vibration. And that is why it is the dub treatment, because music is medicine. And we try to bring it forward that way.
Everybody listens to music for different reasons. Myself personally, one of the main things I listen out for is the lyrics. And like we said already, I, in my opinion, powerful lyricist, strong ambassador of word, sound and power. So tell us a little bit about your songwriting process.
My process evolves with time. It started off as I'm a poet first, wordsmith. And so it's words that usually come first. Now that I've become a performing artist, sharing my word sound as opposed to just writing it for myself, I do hear the music with it. But it is always words first, and the words come from that inspiration. Sometimes it comes as just a phrase or a verse. Sometimes the whole song comes at once and I have to wake up out of my sleep and capture it. Or it will haunt me, you know. And it's just really capturing the essence, and it is having experiences and presenting it. And we're all listening to music all the time, and we're listening to sounds in general, you know. We're watching movies, we're out in the forest, we're at the sea, at the river, and all of these sounds are part of the experience that helps to mold what will come forward. And so my process is just capturing it. And there's no one way that I do it. It's just as the inspiration comes, I try to make sure that I always have some way to capture it, whether it is with my phone in a voice note, or writing it with pen and paper, or, you know, just expressing it out into the universe if I have no way to capture it.
So recently, 2016, we saw the release of your second album, 9. So tell us kind of about how your sound has evolved since the first album, New Name, up until now, and since you first started making music as well.
Constantly. That's how it's evolved. Constantly. With the first record, the influence was mostly from Rory Stone Love. So I presented to him the idea of dub and doing the album in that way. Not just roots music, but a more stripped down version of it, you know? And so that I kind of poured my influence into him, and he was able to give me the sounds that I needed to hear, and we were able to build sounds together, and we were able to bring forth that record. But it was still him guiding the process, him behind the board, him creating the music, you know. This last album, 9, I was the one who was at the wheel, and I was able to be way more particular about how I wanted all of it. So even in the co-productions and collaborations, I was able to guide the process myself. And there were a few songs where I was able to guide the entire production process. And for me, it means that it's a more personal project, not just musically, but thematically. So for me, it was from the artwork to the numbers involved, the number science involved in tempo and the length of the songs, like all of it. Like I got to really pour all of my OCD into it, you know. But yeah, and that's how it is. So I wanted to present that album. It is art music. So you're right, there are people who are not yet ready to receive everything, and that's okay, because it means it's an album that will grow with people. And even a decade from now, you know, someone might pick it up and listen to it again, and it reveals something brand new to them. So that is the part of the evolution. The next record that I will be going into, which will be released next year, first quarter, is going to be less art music and more relatable music. Because I feel like now we've established who I am, what I do, and how I want to present myself. Now I want to make the messages a little more accessible to those who are not necessarily looking for the art in music, the less sophisticated listener who needs the message just as much or even more, you know? So the evolution is taking us there.
So one of my favorite tracks off the 9 album is Greatest Threat. Tell us about the idea behind that tune, and as well about how the collaboration with Akebeka came about.
Yeah, man. Introspection. Introspection is the source of that song. And just sometimes standing in your purpose and your confidence and declaring something. And especially as a woman, even though we say I am, when we say I am, we speak of the all I and all feminine. And it was an important reminder, standing as a woman in this world where, yes, I grew up with my father, and I grew up confident and feeling good about myself and my complexion and loving all of the things about me that society might say are things that I shouldn't love. And so I wanted to present myself unapologetically to the world in that way, you know, and burn all of the illusions that over the years have held women down, whether it be through religion or through culture. It is an in-your-face kind of approach to womanhood. And I wanted to collaborate with Akebeka because he's one of the male artists who I have heard music from him that proclaims womanhood in such a beautiful way. And it was really important for me to collaborate with a man and have him declare also that the spiritual woman is, because he would not have collaborated had he not agreed. you know. So that was really, really awesome for me to be able to have him say yes, you know, and do this work with me.
So another one of my favorite tracks on the album, Baptized. Tell us quickly about the idea and the vision behind that one.
So Baptized, I call it my greatest experiment, you know, and it is a song that production wise, the way that song came to me, that bass line, like it is water inspired. That song is living water. It is water for my spirit, and it was inspired by my relationship with sacred water, sacred fire water in Jamaica. And it was a ritual while I was in my other life in corporate Jamaica. It was a really important ritual for me. Every full moon I would go to Bath Fountain, climb the mountainside in the dark of night and bathe in the hot water. And that was like how I was able to endure living in that world until I was emancipated from that world. And while I would do these rituals, that part of the chant, I go to the water to be baptized, is something I would sing over and over as I would bathe in that water. And so it was a real honor for me to get a chance to, you know, put that to song.
Let's talk a little bit about the Liberty. Tell us about the influence of Empress Menen on the Liberty of Jah9.
Highest inspiration. And I mean, I would encourage ones to go and find out about this woman for themselves. There is so much I could say about her. She was the one who was chosen, and she is the one who, I mean, she lived an exemplary life. She went through so much as a woman in a time when Ethiopia did not give much right and value to womanhood. She, you know, endured a marriage and having children before she met the king, and being removed from that life and being put with a man who held her in the highest esteem. And she went through and did so much for her nation. Like, she's just an exemplary woman, and we have to big up the exemplary women. And she was chosen by the Most High. Chosen. You see me? So, great example.
Tell us as well about, of course, the influence of His Majesty, Haile Selassie.
Greatest inspiration to I. Greatest example of living one's purpose and serving selflessly. And so much more. And again, I implore all ones, go and study and find your own meaning. There is metaphysical meaning, there is prophetic meaning. I mean, it is the fulfillment of so much to see that the universe would choose to bring forward this entity into earth at that time, at this time. So it cannot be ignored. It was not ignored, and it cannot be ignored. So, you see me? Seek for self and learn of him.
So a question I wanted to ask about the Jah9s Journey. If I'm not mistaken, the Jah comes from a church background. So tell us kind of about the transition period and what led you to discover and to embrace the teachings of Rastafari.
His Imperial Majesty. I mean, I saw examples of Rastafari and just how these brethren would live so peacefully, because it is the men of Rastafari, the brethren that I was exposed to first. And it was nothing like I would hear in the propaganda. These were the most peaceful, the most humble, the most well-educated and well-intentioned men that I knew, you know. And that encouraged me to say, oh, I need to find out who inspired these ones, because I was already kind of on a journey toward African spirituality. And my father was always very encouraging of that journey. And so when I had the opportunity to read his autobiography, that was life-changing for me. Because in my mind, revolution meant, yeah man, sniper rifles, fighter planes, revolution, bloodshed. And he showed me another way, another more powerful diplomatic way that was rooted in peace. And not peace as weakness, but peace as power. So I give thanks for that. And that is why I always try to encourage that among I and I who feel that burning revolutionary fire, to go and learn of him, you know, the greatest diplomat the world has ever seen.
Before we leave, we have to talk about the Holy Herb. Tell us about the consciousness that the Jah9s experience from partaking in the herb.
So let me talk about the medicinal part of it, because my relationship with herbs started because I grew up very sickly. I was vaccinated. I blame vaccination for most of my ailments and my immune deficiencies over the years. And I grew up in a family where, just like most of the people in the diaspora, you eat meat and you eat rice and you eat flour, and you know what I mean. And this is how we were taught. We were not taught how to feed ourselves properly. And so with all the best intentions and as great as my parents were, they just didn't learn any differently. And so I wasn't being nourished in the way that I should have, you know, and it hurts my parents when they hear me talk this way, but it is the truth, you know. And I had to learn a lot of this the hard way. Being exposed to milk and cheese and all of those things, like I suffered, you know, and they didn't know how to help me. So there's a lot of medication and medicine and hospital in my history. And then I stopped eating meat and I started to feel the difference in my body. And then I was exposed to herb along the way, and I started by smoking. And smoking is an awesome ritual. It's so easy to just roll a spliff and smoke. But even with smoke, I was able to feel the benefits in my mind space and my body space. But then I started to steam the herb. And then combustion came out of my life, and I just stopped smoking altogether, and it was just all about steam. And I started to notice my lung capacity increased because I was breathing much more deeply in order to keep the coconut shells lit. And I was also experiencing a lot more liberation in my lungs, you know, and freedom from a lot of the bronchial issues and the sinus issues that I had. And so for me, that was like, okay, there's no greater joy now. You know, and to the point now where I would feel tightness in my chest, and I was able to integrate using not just ganja but peppermint and other herbs, you know, that were also good for me. Anything that you can use and make tea, you can put in your steamers. And so once I realized how beneficial this was to me, I just became the biggest advocate of not just ganja but using the steam chalice in that medicinal way. So apart from the benefits you can learn about online, I would say that steaming the herb is something that more and more I am so proud that I have been able to help share and see now, to the point where Jamaican youths, I don't even have to trot with my steamers again. All the youths are steaming, fireplace everywhere, and everyone has, you know, started to get the benefit from this thing.
Just before we finish off, I had your album release in Kenya a couple years ago. Any plans to tour around Africa again anytime soon?
Africa is why I am doing this. Africa is why it was like the music I wanted to hear that I wasn't hearing. I decided to create it. And I decided that I wanted to do this journey of going around the world. I mean, I come to Europe and I come to these places where they will pay me well, so that I can go to Africa where they may not be able to afford to pay me as well. But this work is for my black continents, because I and I people need this message more than ever. So if it means we serve ourselves and do the kind of music we like, and then we break it down so we can spoon feed it to our brothers and sisters if we need to. But Africa is the inspiration, you know? Africa is the source of my inspiration, so my intention is to inspire.
What advice would you give to those that are looking to find and to activate their higher self in these times in particular?
Unplug and breathe deeply. From a few inches below your navel, inhale fully, expand your lungs, hold the breath at the top of the inhale, pause, contemplate on positive things, exhale, release all the things that no longer serve you, hold at that place of emptiness, and repeat that cycle until you reach to your zero state, until you start to feel your vibrations taper out and balance out, and then approach all of your decisions, because you have all the answers.
Lastly, if you could pick one tune to play for the people, one tune of yours to play for the people, which tune would it be and why? And if you could pick one tune from any artist anywhere in the world, what would it be and why?
Today, in this moment, because, you know, a question like that really is going to be dependent on where I'm sitting and where, you know, how much food is in my belly and all of these things. So in this moment, the song I would play for the people would be Field Trip. It's a brand new song, but it's not really new now. It's a 10-year-old song. But I would play that song just because it is a song that encourages movement and breath and freedom. And it's a ganja song. It don't sound like a ganja song, but it's really encouraging. Not even if it's not ganja you're going to use to find that place. It encourages that place of joy and peace. So I would play that. And from another artist, oh my gosh. I have no white God. Don't teach me anything wrong. Could a white man save I from white man oppression? I have no white God. It's just a black messiah. Yeah, man. That one there, that is what I'm feeling right now.
Jah9, give thanks and praise. Rastafari.
Love claps though. That's a lot, Mike. Really, that's a lot.